We're live.
Hello, everyone. Today is September 30th, 2021. My name is Sinéad Whelehan, and we are here on behalf of Beyond Being Human, an organization started by Michael Ney, a director in Australia. And Beyond Being Human is becoming a bit of a movement. It's becoming a documentary film. It's becoming some other things too, though. And as the project continues to expand, Michael became very interested in bringing together some fascinating people who are experiencers, who are psychics, who are clairvoyants, who are mediums, who are in contact with whatever is happening for us all on a global scale in some different ways. And so we have some fascinating people here for you tonight, wonderful collection of women, as a matter of fact, who are here to share their knowledge and their wisdom and their experience with us on the topic of the paranormal, specifically the types of beings that we come into contact with. So we're talking about paranormal beings today. We're also talking about multidimensional beings and how the communication that we're receiving from whoever, whatever, is trying to make contact with us as humans here in the third dimension on Earth, that they are manifesting in a variety of different ways, and that the theme that connects all of these experiences, no matter how different they may seem to be, continues to be about love, about oneness, about connection, about being there for each other as a human race, a collective human race, but also being there for this wonderful planet, this incredible, beautiful planet that we are so fortunate to be able to live on in this lifetime while we're in these bodies. So to start this off tonight, I first of all would like to give great gratitude and appreciation to Michael Ney himself for inviting me to be part of this project Beyond Being Human, which is very, very, very exciting. And also to ask me to host this event tonight. I'm very, very pleased to be here. And I'm going to start with the introductions of our wonderful guests. So I'm first going to give a couple of very brief details about our guests and then allow them to explain for you themselves who they are. I find that that always comes across in a much more authentic, engaging kind of way if the speakers themselves are allowed to introduce themselves. So we have here Mary Nunez, Glenda Dawson, Sarah Garcia, Andrea Perron, Preston Dennett will be possibly coming in later. Carol Messenger will be possibly coming in later. And we also have, I feel like I've forgotten someone, Mariana Leah. And we have running live for us, Neil Gar, oh, Neil, I might be messing up your last name, of the Porter to Ascension. So Neil, thank you so much for being here and streaming for us on YouTube for this live event. So a brief bit of information about Mary Nunez. Mary is a shaman, a medium, an author, actress, and singer. Sarah Garcia is known as the Mexican Elvira, and you will see why. She looks absolutely spectacular. And she herself is a medium and a psychic. Glenda Dawson is a non-denominational minister. She is an author, she's a medium and a psychic also, and a matriarch for gifted women, as I suspect all of these women are in some way or another. Also, we have Andrea Perron, famous for The Conjuring, of course. She is an author herself and an experiencer of a huge amount of paranormal activity. So very much looking forward to hearing from her, as well as the other people I've just mentioned too. And Mariana Hernandez, who is a transcendental channel. She brings in Mary Magdalene, and she's an energy healer and a shaman herself as well. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here. This is going to be a wonderful 2-hour conversation. And I would like to start with Mary. Mary, if you wouldn't mind saying a couple of things about yourself, just to introduce to the audience who you are from your own, from your own place as being here in this moment with us for the conversation. So please speak to what your experience is and giving everybody about 2 minutes. So go ahead, Mary.
Okay, thank you. I have been a reluctant psychic for most of my life, and it wasn't until my mother passed that I was finally accepting that who I was and who she was. And I am a shaman. I also ended up wanting to be a teacher, teach what it is that I know, and to try to elevate everyone's light. That is what I really like doing. I've authored 2 books, one which is to help people in their awakening. The awakening should be, or it should be a cause for celebration. And for most of us that are resistant, it's not always that way. And then my second book is a Reiki book for children and teens. And the reason for that was because there is such a huge chance to heal us, but we have to start with our children so that they drop off that conditioning that we ourselves were exposed to, and then we can just lift them up from the get-go. So that is really I think that's what I'm here for.
Oh, beautifully said. Thank you, Mary. I very much support what you said about children. We need to be investing much, much more into them and their future and their presence here on this earth. Thank you so much for that. And the next person I'd like to go to is Sarah Garcia. Sarah, would you please give a little bit of introduction about who you are and what you do and what brings you here to be with us today?
My name is Sarah Garcia. People call me Moon Girl. I do like to practice different forms of divination. I'm a medium. I'm a paranormal investigator, and I also do some acting. I've always known and felt that there was something different about me, and it was more like a light switch once I turned 12. I always articulate my life as I was 11, a child, and then I turned 12. It was like a light switch. It was like remembering things, so some things would just come so easily to me. And I've been doing my own little thing since I was a kid, and I'm still doing it today, and I love it.
Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much. And now, Glenda Dawson, would you please speak to who you are and what brings you here to be with us today?
Hi, I'm Glenda Dawson. I have had gifts that I have been aware of since before the age of 2, where I used to see archangels, and I used to talk to them all the time. They were really cool in those costumes. I loved them, had a lot of fun with them. Still do. I am a medium. I teach a lot of different classes. I do paranormal investigations, but not just investigations. I call it resolutions, because I walk into a place, I try to negotiate with the entity that's there. And if they're angry, why are they angry? Try to come up with a perfect way of everybody being at the same time at the same place, without anybody having to get thrown out, or anybody having any injuries or traumas or anything like that. I have written a book, which is one of 5. It's going to be a series of 5. And it's basically about the life of a woman and all the things that she goes through to get her to where she's at the very end. And just to show people that you're not alone. You could go through many things in life and you're not alone. So basically that's it.
Thank you, Glenda. And I hope that this conversation we're all going to have together tonight will also be letting some listeners know that they're not alone, because there are so many people out there who feel like I'm weird, there's something wrong with me, when really there is nothing wrong with you or weird about you at all. You're just having one of the many millions of paranormal experiences that millions of people all over the world have. So hopefully the people that are listening here with us today will feel less alone when they finish this conversation with us tonight. So thank you so much, Glenda. And Andrea, thank you so much for being here as well. Would you please, you are the best known, definitely by far. Your family's history and involvement with the paranormal is quite spectacular, but all the same, I would like to give you the chance to introduce yourself, which you may not have the chance to do as much anymore because you are well known. So please, by all means, let us know what brings you here today and what you'd like to, how you'd like to represent yourself to our listeners.
What brings me here today is my dear friend, Glenda Dawson, and all of these extraordinary women, yourself included. I truly believe that we are in the midst of the paradigm shift. I truly believe that we are also in the midst of the rise of the sacred feminine energy on this planet. And so to have this opportunity to be with these spectacular women, all of you just inspire me. Truly, you do. And I'm an author. I'm a lot of things. I'm everything all wrapped up in one thing, but I think that all of us are. I have 5 books. The trilogy, the first 3 books that I wrote are House of Darkness, House of Light, which is the actual true story of it's the story behind The Conjuring. which bears absolutely no resemblance to our true story at all. It is actually much more a love story with a wicked supernatural twist. And it's not, I don't consider it to be a horror story at all. In fact, it was the most enlightening decade of my life growing up in that old farmhouse. That's where I learned as a child that there is something beyond our mortal existence. And I likewise learned, living at that farmhouse, that we are not alone in the universe. It is a journey that I have been on now almost 63 years. And in that amount of time, I have gone from feeling like a complete, total misfit, unfamiliar with this beautiful planet, to understanding who I am, why I'm here, and what my mission is on Earth. And my mission is to spread as much light and love as liberally as I can, and to illuminate the netherworld. What some refer to as supernatural is completely natural to me. But I've lived with it for so many decades that I don't even perceive there to be any kind of veil at all between this dimension and the next. I will also warn you in advance, I haven't spent much time in 3D today. I'm kind of in floaty space. So just, hang with me if I say things that sometimes I don't perceive myself to be a channeler, more of a conduit, but sometimes things come out of my mouth that I absolutely did not think about consciously before I said it. And so those are the messages that come through. The bulk of my work now is in what some people refer to as ufology. I guess I was a ufologist a long time before that word even existed. But that is the most important thing to me. I think that my trilogy of books liberates people to speak their truth. And that was why that was my hope when I wrote the books and told the true story, because I thought that, people deserve to know the truth. And I got to a point where I didn't care how I was judged or scrutinized or berated by society at large. I just don't care. I'm not here for everyone. I'm here for those who are in the midst of spiritual ascension. But I think there are two important questions that humanity struggles with. And one of them is, is there something beyond our death? And for myself, that answer is yes. And the other more important question is, are we alone in the universe? And my response to that is, oh, hell no, not by a long shot. We think we live in a 3-dimensional 5-sensory realm, but that's us compartmentalizing ourselves into this little illusion that feels safe and comfortable. We live in a multidimensional universe, and I know that that's what we'll be discussing tonight. And I couldn't be more excited to join all of you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Mary. I love everything you just said. And I particularly, I just wrote down several things you said that I'd like to bring up again later on as kind of themes of the conversation. But one of them is that the supernatural is natural. I love that, because that's how it feels, I think, to all of us here too. The more we integrate this understanding and knowledge and wisdom we're accumulating, the more we realize, hang on a second, all these ideas about what that we had previously about what's okay, what's not okay, or what's good, or what's bad, what's normal, what isn't. It just becomes a completely different understanding and perception after a while, after more experience. So thank you for saying that. The supernatural is natural. It is quite normal, because there is no such thing as normal to begin with. So now, again, thank you so much, Andrea. And now on to Mariana. Mariana, just to do a quick refresher, because we've gone through 4 other people before you. You are someone who is a transcendental channel, and you bring in Mary Magdalene. That's basically how I introduced you. But please, by all means, expand on that if you'd like to. Say more about yourself, and let us know, and our listeners, what brings you here today.
Well, first, I'd like to say thank you so much. It is quite an honor. I'm humbled to be a part of this magnificent event as these extraordinary women. It's just amazing. And yourself, it's just amazing. I'm so proud to be here. Thank you so much. And I do agree with you. There is no normal.
And what is meant to be outside and perceived outside as the paranormal is our normal. Because once you remember, you're on the journey and you become part of that path, you commit yourself to that path of saying, yes, I want to remember. Once you're on that path, all the paranormal becomes what you know, and that's your life. I mean, light dispels darkness. We were just talking about that previously. And you know what? When you live on that true path, that becomes your only and only life. And within that life, the sole purpose of that, and then you realize the true meaning and value of being here on this planet, is that you want to elevate, you want to help Gaia ascend. And that anyone you come in contact with, you elevate them and you shift them. You shift them into the higher vibration, into the best version of what they can be and what they want to remember as part of their own soul contract. And so I'm really glad to be here. This is an amazing group. It's an amazing topics that we're going to be discussing. And yes, I am a transcendental channel. I do channel Mary, Mary Magdalene's energy, but also channel Isis and the divine feminine. And I do strongly believe that at this very moment, this is the rise of the sacred feminine. This is the return of the Shahina, the return of the divine feminine on the planet. And I'm happy to be a part of this, to be able to give as many messages to the world as possible. And I serve as a vehicle of that. So I am grateful to be here. I'm also a medium and an energy healer as well. So thank you so much for letting me be here.
Thank you, Mariana. That was so beautifully said. And I really love that several of us are bringing up the rise of the feminine and our sense that the divine feminine is really coming into power in a particular way at this particular time. And actually, I'd like to start on that for a moment. Because I feel that, first of all, it's an accident that everyone here is female. That was not deliberately planned. This is not supposed to be a women's panel. And so that's part of the reason why I really love that there are all women here, that this just naturally, supernaturally occurred, that we are all here together in this feminine space together, because so many women are feeling that, the rise of the feminine is a big part of this shift that we're all experiencing as sensitive people who are attuned to energy and are attuned to vibration, are attuned to, multidimensionality. And we are aware that, as Andrea was pointing out, there really is no veil. It is all overlapping all at the same time. And what we perceive is simply a matter of our awareness. So women, although this is something of a stereotypical description of women, there is some truth to many stereotypes, right? And so it is also quite true that women, generally speaking, as a blanket statement here, are more attuned to empathy, compassion, and to intuition, that kind of thing, because we are given the message in our conditioning that it's more okay for us to feel that way than it is for men to feel that way. Men are taught that it's not okay for them to have their feelings, which personally I feel a great deal of compassion for them about. I don't feel that's a fair way for men to have to go through life. But in any case, here we are as women, all acknowledging the rise of the feminine, and there's a particular energy that comes with that. So I'd like to ask each one of you if you could please take a minute to speak to what you think the rise of the feminine is. How would you define that? How would you explain it? And you can come from, it doesn't have to be a definition per se. It can be how you yourself are personally experiencing this, how you're seeing it manifest in the world around you, in people around you, perhaps conversations you're having. How is it showing up in your life? So who would like to speak to that first? I'll let whoever would like to go first, go first.
Well, I will, because I always sit at the head of the class in Soul School. Soul School being this realm that we are in, that unfortunately the test always precedes the lesson. But I'm always the one right in the front row. I got my hand up. I got a question. For me, I was fortunate to have been raised as the eldest of 5 girls in the family. Never for one moment of my life was I ever suppressed, held back, told that I could not do something because I was a girl, except when I was in high school and I wanted to be a pilot. I wanted to fly to the stars. And my counselor told me that I couldn't because I was a girl. So I went home and I told my parents. And then, oh, there was a meeting at school and he was suddenly not my counselor anymore. And so that was the kind of support that I received as a young female coming into my own. I have the most enormous respect for women at large. I think that this is a particularly important time for us collectively to support our Afghani sisters. I think that, you know, women all around the world have no idea what freedom is compared with what we experience. And so it is part of my job to lift them up, you know, to literally take them by the hand at times and say, you are all that and more. You are. You know, we still live in a misogynistic society. We live in a suppressive society. And it doesn't have to be that way. And what I basically speak to is the notion that if we just live into our destiny, imagine, set the intention of what we want our lives to look like, and then take complete control of that, knowing, it sounds counterintuitive, but it's not, knowing that none of us have any control over this thing called life, and yet still being willing to manifest what we envision for our lives. I have, my mother is my hero, to be able to raise 5 little girls in some very adverse circumstances, to go through what she has experienced in her own life, to see what she has seen, to go through what she has endured, gives me enormous respect, incalculable respect for her. But I also someone to emulate. And so I want to be that woman for young girls and young women to emulate, to lift them up into an understanding that there are no obstacles that they don't allow, that there is a way around every single obstacle in this life. If it's up over it, down under it, or around the sides of it, we can chart our own course. And I think that's an imperative message for this time. We are also the nurturers and the healers. That takes nothing away from the men who are capable and tapped into their own emotional core, who are able to do the same thing. There's no shortage of them. There just needs to be more of them. And I speak specifically to women and girls who have suffered abuse, because I, as a survivor of abuse myself, show them that there is another way, that you don't have to be a victim, that you can be victorious over everything that you've ever experienced in your life, and that everything you have ever experienced in your life brings you here to the present, to the existential moment, and has created who you are in full bloom.
Wonderfully said, Andrea. Wonderfully said. And I love what you are also crediting men with their emotional depth and emotional abilities, because of course we know that men are equally capable of being compassionate, of course, but you know, the conditioning that we are given, all of us as human beings in general, and then males and females, and these roles we're expected to fulfill, are often very limiting. And so it's interesting that the rise of the feminine is occurring in conjunction with this, what seems to be this global shift of consciousness. And there is meaning behind that, right? There's a reason why these parallels are occurring, and why we're seeing in power structures around the world how men are sort of being disempowered in some ways. We could phrase it like that, and that women are stepping up in a different way. So this panel is not really about males and females. I just want to say that we are here to talk about the paranormal and multidimensional beings. But I think that, just because everyone here was talking about how the rise of the feminine seems to be part of the energy that is generally happening, and also that the feminine typically has to do with a sensitivity, a connectedness, sort of tapping in to, there are a lot of, types that you see in literature, for example, of like the old crone, the wise old crone, for example, right? Women are about tapping into these ethereal things, men also, wizards and so on, but there's something about that. So would anyone like to speak a bit more to the energy of the rise of the feminine and how that's coinciding with the paranormal and this shift in consciousness that we're seeing right now? I know that's a big question. So if you feel like you'd like to speak to that, please do. If not, I'm going to move on. Okay, Mary, you'd like to say something?
Yeah, really, really quickly. Because the divine feminine that is obviously extremely visible today and palpable in this group, we also find ourselves understanding that we are the healers. We are capable of healing everything and anything without even worrying about if it's right or wrong, good or bad. It is the whole idea of, okay, so this happened, here I am. I'm here to help you, to nurture you, to help you, to get you back up on your feet. And it's okay. Let's brush everything out and let's start new. And that is very synonymous for whether you're a male or a female. It all has to do with why we are here and why it is that we are even talking about the divine feminine. And that energy, that is what we are. So I had to put that out there.
Good. I think Sinead froze up on us, but she'll be back.
She'll be back.
She probably lives in Michigan.
Well, I'll continue. There you
Okay.
go. So the rising of the feminine energy coincides with the need to heal the earth, to heal humanity, to a point that we could actually rise to the next level. And, it has nothing to do with it's male or female. I have seen many and have experienced many men who can be nurturing just as good as I am, or sometimes even better. And, because sometimes we have our days and we're like, and they step up. A lot of fathers, I have seen a lot of fathers step up and be what they need to be. So it really has nothing to do with male or female. It is that energy that we have inside of us, whether we acknowledge it, whether we don't, that's up to us. But we, as women, we are expected to nurture more. And that's a bad expectation to me, because there's still, I see a lot of men just as nurturing as anything. My father was very nurturing. He had his moments where he was the male, but he was very nurturing. And when I wanted to give up on things, he would be like, no, you don't. Come on, let's find a different way. Come on, you can't go through that path. Okay, there's the whole world there. Let's go a different way. So he was my nurturer in the point that he's the one that pushed me. And of course, my mother, but he pushed me and said, never stop, just stop, never. Don't let anybody stop you. The only person who could stop you is you. And I'm giving you permission not to stop yourself. So I was, growing up, that was my experience, and I am very thankful. And because of that, I am here. I am here today. Just keep going and keep doing what I need to do, and just being part of this. Hi, Sinead. Welcome back.
I'm so sorry about that. My Wi-Fi disconnected. These are the days of doing everything on Zoom, right? I'm so sorry about that, everyone. So what did I miss very quickly?
Oh, we were just continuing the divine feminine. subject.
Okay, terrific. So I think we'll move on, and if unless anyone else would like to say a bit more about that, but I feel
Sure.
like, okay, Mariana.
Sure. I'll just add a quick thing to it as I was hearing Glenda. So I think that it's not only about the rise of divine feminine. I think we are at the age of the Vesica Pisces, which is the harmonic convergence. And that harmonic convergence converts all of us together within each other and ourselves individually as beings, converting our divine feminine, our divine masculine roots and putting them back together. I mean, divine Vesica Pisces is the beginning, like the alpha of the sacred geometrical patterns that create the flower of life, that create us. And so by putting them together, and finally, it has to start with us before we could change the world. As soon as that Vesica Pisces connects together within all of us, then we can help Gaia bridge that as well and become a bridge for all of humanity, for the entire human collective consciousness. And it's a morphogenetic process where we become that human and divine. And when we become accepting of us as that human and divine, that's where it all begins. And that's where that harmony comes together and we can be more nurturing. It's nurturing, meaning nature versus nurture in that way. And I think it's such a beautiful moment in our history where we could celebrate that together as one tribe. So thank you so much for giving me the chance to say that. Thank you.
Agreed. This is quite a remarkable time. And I too feel very fortunate that we get to be here in these bodies on this earth in this moment to be able to witness what's occurring. It really is something else. I mean, just the fact that governments all over the world are now admitting that UFOs are real. They have been researching them. I mean, that alone is massive, never mind all the other things that are occurring. And we're here today to talk about the different ways that this phenomenon, this shift, this global change in consciousness, whatever you want to call it, in whatever camp you happen to be traveling in on this path through life, if the terminology and the words, this is my personal perspective, really are not as important as the sharing of the experience and the finding of commonality. And so, we can say, well, it's aliens, it's ETs, that are coming down to tell us these things. It's them specifically. It's not ghosts. It's not all these other things, right? It's only this. And someone else might say, no, it's only this. But really, it is manifesting in such a wide variety of ways. So I'd like to ask each of you about your personal experience of how the paranormal, how the multidimensional, how the etheric, this energy that we're in touch with, that is conscious, that is aware, that is communicating with us, how that is manifesting personally in your lives. So I'm going to start with, I think I'll start with Andrea. Andrea, if you could talk to us about that. Of course, your story, again, is well known, but again, I feel that it is important to give you the opportunity to explain it and describe it in a way that is true to you, because mostly your story is known through the media in terms of books and movies, and that you've already said that that's not necessarily an accurate representation of what your experience actually was. And touching on what you said earlier, you said that your time at the height of all of this was the most enlightening decade of your life. It was not a time of terror and fear. And so, I'm very curious about that. I'm very curious about everyone's experiences, the energy that comes along with that. So Andrea, could you please speak from your experience, what you feel, how you feel the paranormal has manifested in your life and what that means to you?
Well, as I had said earlier, because I was inundated, exposed, and even overexposed to an environment that seemed to be what I describe often as a portal cleverly disguised as a farmhouse, I learned at a very young age that all is not how it appears and not what it seems. To this day, I cannot tell you if everything that I experienced or my family experienced at the farmhouse was spirit activity, if it was extraterrestrial, if it was interdimensional, if it was elemental. We pull out our little Post-it notepad and try to compartmentalize everything that we experience in life. And I think that that's a fruitless endeavor. Not everything can be labeled. In fact, practically nothing can be labeled. Not accurately. We don't know. I do know that living in that environment taught me one thing that is extremely important and must be acknowledged. And that is that evil, true, unadulterated, pure evil exists in this world. And because I have seen the dark side of existence, I have chosen to live deliberately in the light, to dispel the fear around it. I think that when we claim our lives back and we don't relinquish our power to fear, but claim our own path and our own light, we scare the fear away. We embrace it and thank it for functioning as a tool in our lives. But by doing so, we disempower it. I don't think that what we experienced in that house was necessarily something to fear as much as to respect and to honor. We did have some very negative entities in the house that wreaked havoc, haunted and taunted my mother in particular, and my sister Cindy, both of whom had near-death experiences. And I think that there's some kind of correlation and integration between those things, that perhaps they spent some time on the other side and then came back, and so were recognizable. But I can't tell you if all that we experienced in that house was ghosts and spirits. I don't think so. I think that there was a great deal of assimilation and overlapping of dimensions in the house. There was a sense of timelessness in the house. There was a darkness, but there was also light. And that is not only how the books got their titles, but it's also, I think, the truth of our existence. I think that we live in a three-dimensional realm, yes, where there is a constant conflict between good and evil, which some would say are merely conceptions. But I challenge that and say, if you don't believe in evil, go turn your television on and watch 30 minutes of news. Go do that, and then tell me that evil does not exist in the world. That is, I perceive myself to be a spiritual warrior for peace. That is not counterintuitive. they can, they're not mutually exclusive. They can exist simultaneously. And so I think of myself as a warrior, and I think that good conquers evil and love conquers fear, or none of us would be here anymore. I also think that every human living soul on this planet is here now with purpose and reason. Every one of us. And because we are all a unique individual part of the divine consciousness and the paradigm shift taking form, the wave of evolution in human spirituality. And likewise, that we are here to raise the vibration of this planet, to hop on the same frequency, get on the same wavelength, find our tribe, love each other powerfully and well, and literally, because thoughts are things, with our own intention, we heal the world, literally by the way that we think. But I do want to, and I won't take up too much more time, but I must tell you that I have seen some really horrific things in my life. And what I did see is something that is important to share, because believe me when I tell you, the truth is stranger than fiction. The Conjuring barely scratched the surface of what happened in that house. And the worst night of my life, and thankfully something that my mother has no conscious recollection of, was the night of a seance that was perpetrated, that was foisted upon us by Ed and Lorraine Warren and their group of people that came to our house without notice. And during that event, which lasted but a few short minutes, I saw my mother be attacked by something that is not of this world. It was not. It came into her body, and I do not describe her as being possessed. I don't think it stayed long enough to even possess her. I perceive it more as an attack, but it spoke through her in a language that does not exist on earth. And it had all the power and the presence that it needed to claim her life, and almost did. It didn't want to kill her, or it would have. She was twisted into a ball in the chair she was sitting in, to the extent that you would have expected to hear her bones snapping. And she was screaming and begging and speaking in this absolutely bizarre language. And then the chair that she was sitting in, which weighed at least 30 pounds, was lifted from the floor. And in a split second, she was tossed in that chair from the middle of our dining room into the middle of our parlor 20 feet away. And the moment that her head struck the floor, everyone, including a medium and a priest who were present in the house that night, saw how powerful evil can be. And every single person present was quite certain that they had just seen my mother die, including me. I will never recover from it. It is a cautionary tale that I spread liberally throughout the paranormal community, and I tell one group after another, it's all fun and games. You think you're going out on an investigation, it's all fun and games until someone gets hurt. There are powerful cosmic forces in the universe, and they manifest themselves right here on this planet. Do they exist elsewhere? Probably, plausibly, possibly. I don't know for certain. But what I do know is, in this frame of reference, they exist here and can come in from beyond, and from the netherworld into this world. And it is important for people to understand, I believe, that if we do not each steady ourselves, shield and sword as a brace against what is pure, unadulterated evil in this world, then we can easily succumb to it. And so my message tonight to everyone is, be strong, be brave, and be not afraid, because as earthbound souls, we are stronger than anything else that is out there. And love conquers fear. Good conquers evil, or none of us would be here anymore.
Thank you, Andrea. I think I agree with you. It is important to talk about the dark and the light. And, we were talking during our pre-talk before we began going live tonight that, we live in the 3D. The 3D is a dimension of duality, right? That is the nature of this dimension. It is made up of duality. And so, of course, conflict. We cannot have, conflict, the pressure of these two things orchestrating against each other, with each other, both, I think, against and with each other, because they cannot exist. One cannot exist without the other. It's the nature of balance in this dimension. So it is important to acknowledge the fear, the darkness, the possibility, the reality that evil exists, because the opposite also exists. We have here Mariana, who's channeling Mary Magdalene, right? We have Jesus as the Christ consciousness here on earth. We have Buddha, we have Kuan Yin, we have, so many high ascended masters who are here to help us and support us. So if they're here and around us, so is the opposite, because that is the dimension we are living in, and we have to acknowledge both. So I just want to say that in support of what you said, Mary, and I hear, Andrea, and I hear what you're saying, that, this is not meant to spread fear. This is to really spread knowledge and an experience that is real. And also, I feel, I'll put this out to the group as well, there are many that would say, and I'm somebody who also is in line with this philosophy, that in order to become, as Andrea was saying, brave, courageous, to become warriors, to be able to combat the darkness and go into the light further and become stronger light workers, we first need to address what is dark in ourselves. if we don't address that in ourselves first, we are of no use to the external. And so on that note, I want to bring it to Sarah. And Sarah, the reason why I'm bringing it to you is because of your reputation. I guess that's not quite the right word, but you've been described as the Mexican.
Down by my bad reputation. No, just kidding.
Well, you can represent your reputation any way that you'd like to here. But, you have been described as the Mexican Elvira. And I remember Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, from when I was a child. I loved her. I used to watch her on television all the time. And part of the reason that I loved her is because if you look at her and judge her by the optics of how she represents herself, you would think, oh, she's bad, she's evil, she's wearing all black, she's got long blood red nails, but she was actually the loveliest, warmest person. And yes, you've got your black fingernails going on. So Sarah, I wanted to bring it to you because Andrea just really nicely segued us into this conversation of the relationship between light and dark. And of course, this ties into how the paranormal manifests, right? And how we experience different forms of the paranormal. So how do you feel about that? What do you think about the balance of light and dark in this world and your role in that?
Well, I totally agree with the conversation we had earlier. You can't have light without dark. And how you were saying earlier about the ego, you do have to have your ego to keep you in check as well. You're able to manage that. But to me personally, how this has affected me, it really does feel like a death and rebirth from being 11 years old, because I do feel like I was a completely different person. And then being 12, I do feel like it was a switch for me. I don't feel the same. I really feel like I was somebody else. And yes, granted, you're still a child when you're 12, but I didn't feel like a child anymore. And it's been a journey. And I was very alone. I didn't know what to do. I didn't have anybody with me. I grew up in a Catholic family. So to me, it's really important to try to want to help other people who are new to spirituality, especially the new generation, because I want to be a beacon to them. I want to help them because I didn't have that for myself. So that's how I can say how it's affected me. It's affected me in a sense of also wanting to operate more by compassion. And that's what it's really done for me.
Thank you, Sarah. Yes, thank you. And also, I just want to add a little bit onto that we really do judge each other by how we seem to come across, right? Where there's a lot of judging each other for the body that we are in, right? Whether we're female, whether we're of a certain skin color, whatever, we get judged for the optics of who we are. And this global shift, and I think the rise of the feminine and all of the paranormal experiences that are coming along, just the whole picture of what's going on is giving us all the opportunity to dig deeper into what does it mean to be human at this time and in this place, right? And the fact that our bodies are not actually who we are. Who we are is inside, and all these experiences and the knowledge and wisdom that we gain by traveling along this eternal path, lifetime after lifetime, if you believe in reincarnation. So I'd like to bring it now to Mariana. Mariana, what do you think on this topic of light and dark, and that balance in the 3D and how we can utilize that? I mean, Andrea was sort of alluding to the fact that we need to get to know that darkness, right? We have to actually walk towards it. If we run away from it, then we have no opportunity to learn, to grow, and to vanquish it. So in terms of going towards the light and going towards the darkness both, what are your perspectives on that seeming duality in this dimension?
I think that I completely agree with Andrea, and I completely agree with Sarah. I think that the vernacular of the world is changing. I think that the optics is changing because the world is being filled and flooded with the return. I don't even call it the rise. I refer to it more like the return of the Shekhinah, return of divine feminine, and the Christ consciousness. I truly see the optics changing from that ridicule, from that divine wound, from the judgment into more of an acceptance of our authentic selves. The masks are coming off in that sphere of mind. The perception is changing. We're becoming more true to ourselves. We're not judging ourselves as much. We're not judging the world. And we kind of like shift the entire collective into the framework of thinking, okay, it's not about the ridicule anymore. We're going from that, okay, less fear. Exactly, like I completely agree with Andrea. Fear is no longer the optics. That's the message I'm getting right now. Love is the optics. Love is the vernacular. Love is the perception. Love is what we are geared towards. That's the purpose. That's the reason why we are still all here at this time. And that unconditional, that unwavering, that eternal perspective of what love really is, which does not include judgment, which does not include ridicule, which gives the complete and total acceptance of what we are as a being on this planet, and what is the value of our existential concept on this earth at this time. That's what really truly matters. And I truly agree with Andrea. We cannot see that value unless we actually travel and actually confront our own shadow and our own darkness. We don't know what the value of the light is if we don't know what the value of darkness. How can we see what light is truly about if we do not see the darkness? We have nothing to compare it to, especially in a world of duality. And so it's like Ishtar traveling down to the underworld, right? It's like us going back into Babylon, right? Sodom and Gomorrah. We've seen it throughout history. We have to confront our own darkness and our own shadow in order to have our own light finally dispel that darkness, finally say, okay, I'm no longer fearing the darkness. I am choosing to stay and walk my path within the light. And that is how our morphogeneticists, our process begins of us being who we truly are on this planet. And I think the rise of the divine feminine and the return to Shekhinah is really helping all of us, male and female, come back to that era, come back to us, the true world.
Thank you, Mariana. Thank you. That was beautifully said. Everyone's comments are just wonderful. And I'm going to, just in the interest of time, move on to Glenda. Glenda, would you like to speak to that dichotomy of like light and darkness? I mean, also because we're here to talk about different kinds of beings, right? And how the paranormal and the multidimensional is actually manifesting in our lives. Please touch on that as well in terms of the light and the dark. And part of the reason that I'm asking you to do that is because we're using our sort of narrow compartmentalized way of thinking and applying that to the paranormal, right? And trying to put it in boxes that this kind of paranormal is good, this kind of paranormal is bad, as if we understand all of it, which I don't think that we do. So Glenda, if you can speak to maybe different types of beings that you have encountered and how that comes into your understanding of the duality that we experience in this dimension and what we can do with it to help ourselves. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Thank you.
of course. Well, I have experienced entities like archangels, and I've also experienced entities that are, as Andrea calls it, evil. I call it chaos. Only different wording for me. It works a little better only because there's the not chaos and then there's the chaos. Basically, that's it. And I like to call them chaos because a lot of the times the entities that I come up with in paranormal, when I go into a house, when I even sit in a place and I say, okay, my team come down, I really need help, and I'm connecting with my team. There are times where chaotic entities surround me and they're like, well, you're opening a portal, so here we are, and it's like, no, I didn't call you. But thank you for being here. Now I know that these are good and you're not so good. That's all. And then what I keep telling all my students is, how can you know a bright, beautiful, nice, perfect weather, sunny day if you don't have your rainstorms and your hurricanes and your chaos in weather? Everything has to be experienced in order for you to know the difference. I could tell you, I was 5 years old, and in my hometown, my aunt, one of my aunts on my father's side, was what people call possessed. She had a chaotic entity driving her, doing things for her, to the point where we met at a lake. The whole church at that point and all the family members surrounded the lake holding hands. She walked into the middle of the lake above the water. And every single time they would ask the entity to leave her, the entity would put her down into the water and then would rise her up. So, I mean, to the point where 5 years old, I'm like, okay, I think I've had seen enough. Hey guys, you with the costumes, can you come and get me out of here? Because I'm seeing this, and my mother said, you need to see this so you know when you are up against, because you are a generational woman with a lot of gifts, and you're going to see the bad and the good. You're going to see the darkness and the light. And you have to realize when you see the light, what it truly is. Because sometimes it manifests in a mask. Sometimes it comes in a costume. And it looks like all good, but it's not. And I have even to the point what people call banshees. Those are the most irate, piercing sounds that you could ever hear. And, a lot of people would be running around. Oh my God, what are we doing? I'm like, I just go up to them. Okay, what do you want? Because this is giving me a headache. Let's just talk. And, they would say, okay, well, we don't like it here. Okay, so where do you want to go? I could open any portal you want to go. Where do you want to go? Because I mean, here you are in the middle of nowhere, everything is quiet, and you hear this God-piercing, ear-piercing, headache-giving noise, and it's their cry. That's their way they communicate. And I'm like, oh, please, can we stop this? I go outside and I'm like, I'll open it. Just tell me where you want to go. Because, actually one decided to come with me to protect me. Because I was going to go into a property that was very chaotic, and there were children involved, and they had asked me to go in there and try to negotiate a peaceful settlement, as I call it. And he came with me so he could keep them away so I could be safe. So whether they're chaotic or not, you could really work together. And that's what I think this is all about. To learn that even though there's chaos and there's light, we could find a place where we could work together and come to an understanding. And, I have seen quite a few things, just like Andrea has, and I don't like to really talk about them much because people get all very fearful. And I keep telling them, the fear is going to give them energy. Just respect it. Just like if you were talking to me or talking to a professor or talking to your boss, respect them. Or even talking to your husband or your wife, respect. And then once you start respecting them, they'll see that you are not there to harm them. You're not there to keep them in a box. You're not there to bind them in a house. You're not there to keep them in a place where they shouldn't be, where they don't want to be, where they don't belong. Maybe they came through when somebody did a seance, like in Andrea's case, okay? And they didn't want to be here, but here's the door, it's open. Oh, let's see. Come on, we're curious creatures. They are too. And there's just, and there's just cannot deal. And they get angry because they're here. Come on, we're in 3D. We're angry we're here. We're a lot of the time saying, okay, when can we go home? Can you come and beam me up, Scotty? And we say it that way, jokingly around, but we say it. And so we all have our place that we belong to, and we all want to be home. And sometimes things get shifted a little bit, and we're in the place where we shouldn't be, or we cannot be, because maybe they're dying because they cannot survive in this density. And maybe in their world, they're not chaos. Maybe in their world, that's just a natural way of being. And when they cause chaos is because they are trying to get our attention.
Yes.
So we can then understand them and maybe try to have them communicate with us, and we communicate with them and try to come to some type of understanding. And by the way, it did help me in the house with the kids. And I was able to make an agreement, and the kids are safe and everybody's safe and everybody's in the same house. Everybody's living peacefully.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. I mean, I hear a few people kind of touching on the concept of because I think when we're coming from a place of fear, that's a place of such a deep, or it's a sense of, we perceive it as being a place of such deep vulnerability and weakness, right? That we are open to, that we are disempowered when we have fear, and we are disempowered. We are disempowering ourselves. So of course, it's very important to take ownership and accountability and responsibility for our part in assisting with what's going on, and assisting
Correct.
ourselves in our own path, other people in theirs, the planet and its, what the universe and its, like we are part of the all. So the accountability, the ownership and the responsibility, I agree, is a very, very important part. And then that is in turn empowering and enables us to more confidently face the challenges of the energetic challenges and otherwise that we go through. So without going on too much more, Mary, I would love to hear from you. I saw you nodding very enthusiastically while the other people were speaking. So I know you definitely have something to say, and I'd love to hear from you as well. What kind of beings have you experienced? What is your take on the light and the dark? Please take it away.
Okay, so I was born to a beautiful being, a wonderful being, my beautiful mother. And at the age of 7, she was asked, she went to a Cuban school, a nun school, and she was asked to ask God whatever it is that she wanted on Good Friday. And she asked to see Jesus at the foot of her bed. Woke up the next morning, the nuns asked, what did you guys see? She said what she saw sent her home, and 72 electroshocks later, she was kind of fried because it was not normal for a child to see Jesus. It's what she wanted. Did she see it? Probably yes. And as we were growing up, my mother did pass through entities. It was just in the Cuban spiritualist world, and Glenda knows about that. You pass them through, some good ones and not so good ones. But your entourage, your spiritual entourage, allows you and helps you push them through. But it still does do some damage. Now, you got 2 kids, 2 little girls, 6 years apart, which is myself and my sister, witnessing all of this. And we could see my mother was almost 6 feet tall. She would go down to 4 feet tall, fully erect, fully standing, and she would morph into this 4-foot person and speak in different languages, which we had no idea were children. But she would always tell us, don't be afraid. If you show them you are afraid, they will always scare you, and they will actually get strong. So strong that you are going to be open for them to do what they do to me, but I'm not afraid. So I'm like, okay. I witnessed my mother hovering above her bed, 4 feet on top of her bed for 4 days, and she couldn't get down. Remember, I would go under the bed and take a look at her. I would lay down on the bed and look up at her, and she would open her eyes and she would tell me, you really don't need to be here. And I would tell her, I'm your daughter. I want to make sure you're okay. And she would tell me, I'm fine. This will pass. And sure enough, it did. Growing up in that environment, what my sister and I learned was, don't let your guard down, but also know what you're dealing with. Ask the question, see who it is, what it came for. If it's not yours, you can safely say goodbye and walk away. But at the same time, if it comes to bother you, ask why. Where is the lesson? What is it that you need to know? Because they're not all, it depends on how they come and how you perceive. What is your conditioning? Do you think that this is a demon? Maybe not. Maybe it's something else. Because I've seen otherworldly entities as well that have come and in and out of my home, and that's all they did. There was There was no spirit, nobody talking. It was all energy. So what are we dealing here with? We're dealing with many different things, many different, I don't want to call it entities, I want to call them species at this point. And it's just what we know. What is our level of enlightenment? How do we know what they are, and how do we process that energy, what they're trying to tell us? And I learned that very early with my mom. My mom would always, she taught us first demonology. This is the life of demonology. This is what this is. So you are prepared to understand where you have to be with your frequencies 24/7. They can't get you if you're up here. You're not interesting enough if you're up here. You're boring. It's when you're here. This is where they reside. And this is that, which is what we're all learning, what we're all seeing. Why are we evolving? Why are we moving up? Why are we ascending? To get away from that. And going through what I went through with my mom, yes. Yes. I'm very happy that I did, because it's prepared me and my sister, and now my children, to understand, decipher, and decide how they're going to move forward. We need to teach that. We need people to understand that.
Very true. Thank you, Sarah. Yes. And it's really interesting that, and I'm personally appreciating that we're not only talking about love and light right now. I mean, the love and light is very important, as we're emphasizing. It's very important to live in a space of light and live in a space of love as much as possible for many, many reasons. But it is also important to acknowledge that there is darkness and that they come hand in hand. So I just want to emphasize that again as a kind of brief summary of what we just talked about. And I'd like to move a little further into, oh, Andrea, your doggie is so cute. I'm an animal lover, got distracted, but actually the doggie is a being, and we're talking about beings, so maybe it's not too off topic. But animals actually are one of the ways I feel like love comes into our lives. That one of the ways that we can transform is when we have an animal in our lives. But in any case, we are talking about the paranormal and the multidimensional. So I think the audience would really love to hear more about individual experiences that you've had. Maybe what we can talk about now is a particular experience that you have had that has changed you, that has, expanded your mind, expanded your heart, changed your life, had a transformative effect on you in whatever way, at any age or at any stage in your life. If you'd like to speak to that, I think that would be really valuable for the audience to hear about, because there's such a wide variety of experience here right now in this group. And I'd like to really, really highlight that, the variety of experience, because I think people often feel very, perhaps limited by their own experience, in the sense that they may think that their experience is specifically the definition of how the paranormal manifests, right? And it's important to be flexible in our thinking and to be flexible in our receptivity to the paranormal, so that we're able to receive what is coming in and get to know it and try to understand it as best we can, as we've all been talking about, and utilize it for our own good, for the good of others, hopefully, if it is a positive experience. So can each of you think about one particular experience that you have had that has really impacted your life? I mean, Andrea talked about the experience of witnessing her mother go through such a traumatic experience during that seance. But what is something that you have personally experienced, something that has occurred to you or within you that has changed who you are in this life, and perhaps has helped you come further onto your path in whatever way of knowledge and understanding? Glenda, please take it away.
Well, I have experienced near-death experiences. I've actually been declared dead clinically and brought back to life. A lot of people talk about the tunnel and all this other stuff. I hovered over my body, and it happened about 2 seconds. And then all of a sudden I was in a different place. I would like to call it clouds. And I saw energy. That was all energy. And I realized that at that very moment, it didn't matter if our experience here was not so good or really good. We all went to the same place. Because when I was up there, especially the first time, I saw people who I knew were not exactly in the light when they were here. I knew that they had been causing trouble, that they were not exactly walking the right path in the light, and yet they were there. And when I arrived there, all I felt was this immense degree of unconditional love that it almost overwhelmed me. I could not get close to any energy, even though I recognized my grandparents, I recognized my friends, I recognized some other people that I had known. They did not let me get near them. Why? Because they said that I was not ready. It was not my time, that I still had to come back, do a lot down here. And that I also had to have a lot of fun yet, which is true. I did have a lot of fun. And when they actually literally pushed me back, and I felt like I was just floating down, and it was beautiful. From that point on, I realized that this is BS. This here, all the arguments I'm having with people and all the craziness that people have around, and all they're cutting me off, I'm going to flip them the bird, all that's nonsense. Just stay, okay, so you have to get there faster. Go ahead, go, you'll make it there. I'll make it there when it's my right time. And I figured if you're cutting me off, is because maybe my guys are saying, let him go first, because if you went first, you may have an accident, or you may hit that deer, or your car may stall and break down, whatever the case may be. So I learned to really let a lot of the BS go. I learned to let my life be in a higher perspective. I've also learned that a lot of people misconceive things. They look at you as a package. I'm not even, and Andrea could tell you, I am not 5 feet tall. And little tiny girl. And they think when I walk into a place, oh my gosh, she's really nice, but I could be the meanest SOB. Why? Because you disrespect me. It is not about, being really good to everybody or anything like that. Yes, I'm generally good, but don't disrespect. And that is one thing. It's like, don't judge the book by its cover. Nobody should be judged by its cover, because what we have inside is what matters. That energy that I saw, those energy vessels that I saw up there, that beautiful energy that I felt, that is what counts. But down here, we're just here to learn our lessons, to hopefully evolve, to hopefully get to a better place. So when we go back, we actually enjoy ourselves better. And our experience, we could talk about our experience and say, oh, okay, I checked that one. I learned that lesson. Yep. Okay. I don't have to redo my life for that one. Okay. I learned that lesson. Oh, well, good. I don't have to do that one. And then the soul and the body and your consciousness could unite and hopefully not be so separate. No, mind you, I still have my moments where I'm human. I'm still living a human experience here. I still have my moments where it's like, I'm a Jersey girl and I want to flip that finger. And I don't, but I did come back, and I have been dead actually 4 times, by the way. I do come back each and every time being real and learning and remembering that this is just material things. This is not going to go with me. This is just, the body is going to decay, and what's really going to live forever is my essence.
Yes, thank you, Glenda. I mean, even something like what you're referring to with your height, even that, it's a lesson, right? Being, sorry, what was that, Sarah?
Fun size.
The fun size, yes, the little tiny size. But then, of
I'm
course,
5'1" as well, so I know. Little girl to me.
okay. Okay. Well, what would you say about that, Sarah? Because it sounds to me like Glenda's saying, being born short, or the nicer way, the prettier way, putting it is petite, right? That it's an opportunity to practice being assertive and to have a voice and to speak up, right? So there's a lesson right there in how what
Tiny
you're
but mighty. Absolutely. Tiny but mighty.
tiny but mighty. Well, how's that manifest in your life, Sarah? Can you just very briefly speak to that before I move on?
It's like they see us and, well, I guess the three of us are like Latina women. So they think we're really small and we're, little delicate flowers. But when the time comes, if we have to, again, we're tiny but mighty. And I think that kind of throws people off sometimes. So I don't know. I guess that's what I would say about us being short.
Interesting. I mean, that's probably tied into the ideas that we have of the feminine, right? Like if you're short and you're a woman, then you're supposed to be cute and sweet and not be too assertive. And Glenda's certainly challenging that. And I saw Mary raising her bicep just now. She was pointing at her bicep like this. So Mary, I'd love to hear from you. Not necessarily about being short and female, because we could talk about that probably forever. But just what experience you might have had. I mean, there's so many. I've heard this from so many women. I had a tiny professor, and she's one of the toughest cookies I've ever met. She just wrangled this massive class of teenage students at the time very, very, very well, even though she was very small and female. So anyway, that's a topic that we could expand on, just that one thing.
For our height.
Yeah.
For the attitude. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, remember, this is the meat suit.
Yes, this is just our outer shell. It has nothing to do
Exactly.
with our soul, our being, who we truly are. And we can be quite vocal when need to.
Exactly. But what's inside, it's much bigger,
Right.
much bigger, much brighter. Very
What's an experience you've had?
exactly.
Experience you've had, Mary, with how you've come into your understanding of how you are bigger and brighter and huge inside this meat suit, right? What is an experience you've had that made you realize that helped you come into that space?
When I had my second child, after 3 epidurals that didn't take, and I kept feeling the cuts every time that they would put me back down, 2 spinals right after that, I kept feeling that scalpel. They finally put me under. It was very hard for me to come back. And I was at a point where I was neither here or there. I do remember seeing my grandmother, and I was like, what? And she was like, no, honey, you got to turn around. You've got a new baby. You don't belong here. What are you doing here? That part I remember, but then there was a struggle coming back that I do remember. I ended up not doing well. All my spinal fluid left my body. And I didn't want to tell my mom. I was still at that point where I was a reluctant psychic. I didn't want to be my mom. I didn't want to go through that. I was afraid of that. And my mom called me and says, mira, mija, let me tell you something. I know that something's wrong with you and you can't tell me that it's not. I'm going to tell your sister to come and take me, and I'm going to do a healing. Well, she did. And she told me, you're going to feel like you're going to die, but not really. You're going to be fine. Well, that night, it was so painful. I was not in a good place, that I was praying to God for my husband to find a better woman, to raise my children. And if it wasn't going to work out with her, I was going to come back and pull all the toenails off of her somehow. And then I woke up to the sound of my son crying, and nobody got up. When usually it was either my mother-in-law or my husband. Nobody got up. All of a sudden I find myself on a rocking chair, rocking my baby, giving him his milk, and there was no pain. That was the moment, my aha moment. This is real. This is real. Everything that happened to me was for this moment. After that moment, I knew that there was something that I was missing out on, and that I had to thank my mother. I had to tell my mother and forgive myself, and ask her to forgive me for not believing her and not wanting to be in this path. Long story short, I ended up it.
Oh, she's freezing up a little bit there. We'll just, oh, there we
There's
go.
there I am. I learned runes. I made my own cards, things, divination systems that are very, very foreign, very old. And then I started talking with angels, thinking that I was indeed going crazy, and I wasn't. I wasn't. I was not going to follow my mother's footsteps and be labeled a schizophrenic, and I wasn't. I was going through my awakening, but I came to this world, and the realization actually came when I was talking with one of the archangels. I'm here to teach. I'm here to give wisdom, to teach and to heal. Whether you're in this world or you're in another world, or you're in between, maybe there's someone between here and here that we don't see because of our capacity. That's what I'm here to do. When you end up understanding what it is you're here to do, you do it with love, and you do it with complete understanding, and you move forward. I have no fear. There is no fear. I know what I'm here for. Thankfully, I know what I'm here for. And going through what I went through got me here.
Thank you, Mary. That's a great, great, great story. And your son, I don't know how old he is now, but one day he's just going to love hearing that he played such a pivotal part in the changing of your life to be on a completely different path. So I'd like to bring to Mariana. Mariana, what about you? What's one pivotal experience that you have had that really helped you understand who you are meant to be in this life and what you are meant to do here, however you'd like to phrase it, something that really transformed your mind, your heart, and your state of being?
Well, in 2013, I had a close call with death about 5 times. One of which was I was told I had a brain aneurysm. Actually, 1% in the world survive the cerebral aneurysm I had in my brain. I was told I couldn't do the surgery because then it would leave me 95% handicapped. So the medical profession decided to just monitor it. 3 days before it ruptured, I had a dream that the aneurysm would be gone. And I saw an angel showing me a hand and just pointing to this area. And the only place that I could think of that would understand what was happening with me, where I would find solace, where I would find some sort of acceptance to even tell anybody at that moment, was Salem, Massachusetts. And I had known a voodoo practitioner there named Demetrius. And I found him and I had let him know. He prayed with me. He did a meditation with me. He did some readings, runes also as well. And then he came back and he said, it's gone. And I looked at him, I said, but I had a dream of the same thing. This was a day before the appointment because for 3 days I had black under my eyes. I looked very pale. I was very tired and I was in a lot of pain in my head. Like they described the worst pain there is with an aneurysm, right? I didn't know at that point. And he was like, it's just gone. It's gone. And I said, yeah, I truly believe it is. And so the next day when I saw the doctor, I told him, I said, doctor, it's gone. And he said, it's not possible. So get yourself ready because you look like you're about to go into surgery. Hope you got your things. And within 30 minutes, there was 15 doctors standing in front of me. And I said, what is this? And they were like, you should be studied because it ruptured. And it ruptured for 3 years following that. Yeah. And still to this very day, they're still testing. Okay, hopefully it didn't come back. I'm like, it's not coming back. I learned what it was. What it simply was, it was a lesson. And what happened was that I actually was able to channel what it was. When it ruptured, it opened up the sphenoid gland in the brain, allowing more oxygen to come through and opened up a huge DNA portal within me and open up also not only by the spinal fluid leaking, it opened up DNA portals in the L5 and the L6 section in the lumbar spine, which allowed me to start my Kundalini rising and allowed me to start my journey. And the message that came final was that in 2018, I traveled to the Middle East. I went to different countries, one of which was Israel, and I helped to heal the crisis timeline. And I went to Magdala. And at the end of our trip in Magdala, I saw an apparition of Mary Magdalene. And she had looked at me. And that is when I got the message. This is the reason why you are still alive. You had a second chance to stay here because you chose to stay. And the reason why you chose to stay is so that you can heal and you can show the world that you can heal from within. So that way you could help heal others as well. And that's when I learned that, you know what, love is something that is home. We're always looking for something outside of us to fill us and make us feel whole and make us feel loved. But the truth is, we are the ones we've been waiting for, and we are the love, and we are our own home. So thank you for allowing me to share that story finally. Thank you.
Marvelous.
Thank you, Mariana. Thank you very much. That was great. And I think I'm going to change my questioning a little bit just in the interest of time. We've got about half an hour left. We're going to be playing a couple of videos, and one is a meditation, and then Michael is going to be playing a video, and Neil is going to come in at the end and make an announcement about an event that Portal to Ascension is having. So I just want to quickly say that to set the stage for that occurring soon. But I'd like to go back to Andrea and to Sarah also. Andrea, I'll just go to you first. You can speak to a key experience you've had if you'd like, but because you have had such I guess, dramatic, or you had, I don't know if they're still occurring in your life, actually, you've had, okay, I figured you're nodding, so yeah, I figured. Once
Daily.
Stop, right, yeah.
Yeah.
But you've had such a personal experience of so many different kind of paranormal experiences in so many ways, on so many levels, you know, small ones, big ones, all kinds of different sensory experiences. And so your experience has been so rich. I would like to ask you a more specific question, which is, what is your philosophy on the fact that the paranormal and this energy, this consciousness, how it manifests as such a wide variety of different ways, right? It manifests as ghosts, as ETs, as whatever, you know, in so many different ways, as Christ, as the opposite of Christ, you know, we can call it the devil, we can call it anything else that might fit with that concept. But there's such a wide variety of manifestation. How do you interpret that? Do you think it is all one and the same thing? Do you think that it is manifesting based on our perception, our own mindset? For example, fear. If we walk through life in a fearful way, that we're likely to experience fearful paranormal experiences. What is your take on that? Because it's definitely not manifesting in one way. I'm kind of, as a quick sort of comparison, there are so many religions in the world, right? And every religion in the world has fundamentally the same tenet, which is let's be good to each other, let's love, let's have faith, right? I mean, they really are essentially the same, but each one, yes, but each one is saying this path is the right one. If you want to become enlightened, whatever, if you want to meet God, this is the one and only path. In the paranormal world, there's a little bit of that happening as well, right? There's some people that would say, no, it manifests only like this. And if it manifests differently, then that's not what's really happening. You're wrong, right? So there's a huge amount of activity going on in so many different ways for so many different people. It's exciting, it's fascinating, and it's totally mystifying. So Andrea, what is your take on that?
Philosophically, I would have to say that, no, I started reading Emerson, Thoreau, and Whitman when I was a child. I was into all things metaphysical because I was seeking answers to what I was experiencing. In hindsight, in retrospect, as I reflect back on my life, I think that I was supposed to experience such a wide variety of things because I needed to learn that everything is one thing, that everything is energy, everything is consciousness, everything is existence. All things, all beings exist simultaneously. even in death. I think that death is just a transitional period. It's just a transformation in the same way that the chrysalis bursts open and the butterfly takes wing. We are just another element of nature. And if you observe nature, then you're really self-reflecting. My most pivotal experience, I would have to say, is when I was in the midst of a Skype meeting and an entity came in between myself and the woman I was having a conversation with. And he was completely pitch black with red laser orb eyes. I felt every single emotion that a human being can feel except fear. And I received a download that was so intense that it began to physically hurt. And I cut that contact short, not out of fear, out of discomfort, physical discomfort, because my eyes were just locked into his eyes. I don't know why I know that it was a male entity. I don't know where he was from. I know he was in some type of a vessel, and he was making like weird tapping noises, and there were bands of incredible lights behind him, and his head was down. And when he lifted it up and we made direct eye contact, I said, Susan, what do you see? What do you see? Do you see it? What do you see? And she said, I think I see the back of a head. And I said, I see the front. And then I did not communicate with her again for the duration. I don't know how long I was on with him. My mother rounded the corner and she said, what the hell is that? I remember distinctly hearing her say that. And meanwhile, because I could not break away from our eye contact, I started fishing around for the mouse. And when I found it, I disconnected the call. I will always regret that. I will always regret it because I didn't get his contact information. And I would like to have more connection with him. But I received a massive download. I have had downloads sometimes that have lasted 5 and 6 days, where I've literally had to retrain the way I hear and listen to my world in order to receive it. And then all of a sudden it's gone. I don't know what I'm being taught or infused with, or what information is coming my way. It does not manifest itself other than in very strange ways. Sometimes when I'm doing a lecture, as I had said earlier, something will come out of me that I have no recollection consciously thinking. It just comes. I've learned how to open up the third eye of other human beings. It was given to me as a gift. Nothing I studied, nothing I learned, nothing I was taught, just something that I do. And, I have to tell you all, I've lived the most interesting, illuminating, enlightening life. My journey has been mystical and magical and unusual, but all of it has happened for a reason, because I'm a messenger. I'm just a humble messenger. I'm no different than any of the rest of you. I'm just here to impart what I learned from the cosmos, from the infinite universe, from divine mind, from Christ consciousness, from prime creator, from source energy, from wherever it's coming. We're all a part of it. There is no point of demarcation or delineation. And so that's what I think is so valuable about what we're doing here tonight, because it just by having this conversation, we are healing the world and expanding human consciousness and raising the frequency of the planet just by being here tonight in this setting, in this venue. And that said, I have a show to do called The World Awakening at 9 o'clock. And so I have to go run off and do that now. But I thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part with you magical, wonderful, incredible women. And each and every one of you, well, Glenda's already done my show. Each and every one of you is going to have an episode on my show because we do need to continue this conversation.
Yes.
And that said, I love and bless and release all of you with namaste and be the light you seek. I love you.
Thank you, Andrea.
Yeah.
Thank you. We love you too. Much, much, much appreciated.
Yeah.
And we will speak again. We will speak again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
So, you know what, on that note, I think I'm going to go right into the meditation. Unless, Sarah, I just want to make sure that you have a chance to speak if you would like to. I don't want to put you on the spot, but if there's anything you feel you'd like to say, I'll give you a couple of minutes to do that before we go into the meditation.
I spoke to the beautiful Glenda about this. I don't claim to have all the answers, but I would love, absolutely love for a group of beautiful, talented women as yourselves, all of you, and some other paranormal investigators, ufologists, to go to Dulce, New Mexico. Do a documentary there. All of us come together because there's so much paranormal phenomenon there, to hauntings, ghost spirits, whatever you want to call it, to UFO sightings, to cryptics, to cryptozoology. There's been black helicopters that no one knows about who they are, why they're there, the men in black. There's just so much there. I just want to feel the earth. And I think there's portals there. Absolutely. There's a lot of UFO activity there. There's even been like people from the Navy who've made reports and said, yeah, there's other intelligent beings here, but we don't know what they are. I would love for all of us to go one day, or if it's not even us, other people to go and investigate that. I think that would give us so many answers, the answers we've all been seeking. And I don't know, I just really want to do that. And I think you guys should jump on board with me one day and we should all
that sounds very exciting. And I'll tell you what.
I'm working on documentaries myself too for paranormal and paranormal investigation / documentary. So I'm just throwing that idea out there, ladies.
That's a wonderful idea. And Sarah, honestly, if you build it, I will come. I will, because that sounds like an absolute blast, especially if it's a hotspot with so many different things going on. Yeah.
Everybody's so talented in so many different ways. I love meeting other mediums or psychics or whatever you want to call yourself, because it's like, I can do this and I can do that and I can do a bunch of different divinations. Oh, me too, So I love that. And you're right about the sisterhood and the feminine, divine feminine awakening. And you're right, Ms. Glenda, too, as well. It's not just the women. Everyone has divine masculine, divine feminine, and even the men, they're awakening more to their divine feminine. All of us as a whole, especially the women too. It's like a sisterhood. We're all trying to take care of each other. We're trying to work with each other. We're building. It's really going to take a big wave. Okay. So like I said earlier, I want us to be like beacons to anyone who's open to spirituality, especially the younger generation, because they're going to lead us the age of Aquarius and everything else we got going on. So yeah, that's what I'm going to leave it with that. Thank you so much for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being here, Sarah, and all of you, Glenda and Mariana and Mary and Michael for starting this whole event. Thank you so much. And Sarah, I love that you ended your comment there with so much enthusiasm and energy, because that's a wonderful place to segue into the meditation we're about to do, to kind of harness that energy in this meditation. So what I'm going to do is share. Although I need to ask Michael to make me a co-host first, that I can share my screen. Michael, I need you to make me a co-host. Otherwise I can't do that unless you want to share the screen and do play the meditation yourself, Michael. He's hiding right now.
I can't find the way
I can play the video, Michael, but I can't share my screen unless I'm a co-host.
Okay.
I thought I was the only Aquarius that was not good at technology. Thank you, Michael.
It's not a strike for mine.
We're supposed to be good at technology. We are like doing a disservice to our other Aquarius.
Yeah.
It's the water in our chart. I'm assuming.
Okay, hang on one sec.
Okay. Okay, well, while Michael's doing that, does anyone have any last comments? Anything else that they're burning to say? Because this really is sort of a wonderful gathering of the feminine again, you know, really was an accident that we all ended up being female. Michael's got it going. Okay.
I don't know about sharing sound though.
It will automatically share. You just have to click on the link,
Oh, okay.
play the video.
Oh, okay.
Greetings, Earth Angels. We all know the world is in need of healing. So together, we're going to send our love, light, energy to where it's needed most. We set our intention for this journey to bring healing and peace to the earth and all her inhabitants. Let's take a moment to form a protective shield around our body. Imagine a simple sphere of light that only permits positive energy in or out. With your shield in place, trust that you are divinely protected on this journey. Take several deep, slow breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. With every breath you draw into your body,
Michael, is it going to continue?
that is you.
Yes.
Okay.
Activated by generating feelings of love, compassion, and gratitude. Allow that energy field to expand far beyond the boundary of your physical body. Feel that energy by thinking to yourself, thank you. With your eyes closed, you can see the light that you emit like a beacon that shoots straight up to the heavens. Look around you now and see that there are other beacons of light there with you. Acknowledge and welcome them as they are the angelic, galactic, and interdimensional beings who have come here to assist us. Take another deep breath and imagine pushing off and lifting out of your body to follow your beacon of light upward, passing easily through the roof. Look down and notice as the buildings you just left shrink into the distance. In your etheric form, you may even feel wings. Use them now to soar upward and higher. Stop when you have a clear view of the entire planet. From your new lofty vantage, you can see your country and all the others as the world continues to turn beneath you. Notice the other light beings that are there with you and take a moment now to connect with them until a ring of light encircles our beautiful planet. As you gaze down at Earth, you are aware of the human feelings of division, anger, fear, and frustration. However, you are no longer connected to or affected by it. You are above it and only witnessing. You and all those with you who feel compassion want to ease the suffering and bring peace and calm to the planet, which is reacting to a shift in the energies that are now moving throughout the entire galaxy and bringing with it great change. Take another deep breath to further build up your light and focus your attention on the planet and begin sending your love and light down to Earth. Picture golden rays beaming down as if you yourself were a star or the sun. Consider the love light we are sharing with the power to break up old wounds, the Christed, etheric equivalent of physical gold. You are using the best conductor to send the highest vibrations of love and light channeled through you, for you are indeed shining like the sun, the physical embodiment of love and light. Take your time to feel it within you so you can project the highest frequencies to Earth. Send your love and light to the planet, and as you feel the peace, know that where there is hate and discord, there will be light. The world really needs to heal, and what you're doing makes a huge difference. Remember who you are and that you were born to shine. Look now at the Earth and see how she glows, grateful for the healing and calming energies you sent. Every time you do this meditation, you are helping to anchor the golden age of Gaia into our reality. This will bring peace, abundance, beauty, and truth as the old energies that no longer serve are cleared. Slowly bring yourself back down and gently return into your body. This is our time to be the way showers for humanity. Be that beacon of light and guide others out of the darkness. All you need to do and be is your highest authentic self in every moment, with every word, thought, and action you take. Speak the truth calmly and with conviction and compassion. Be the light and be the change you wish to see in the world. Namaste.
That made me emotional. Like I'm kind of crying a little bit. I'm such a crybaby.
That's lovely. It is really beautiful. It is really beautiful, and also that tied in so nicely with our own conversation and things that we were talking about here. So I just want to check in with Michael. Michael, thank you so much for playing that beautiful meditation. Do you want to play a video? Would you like to play that video now?
I'm no author, and I sell literally thousands of books.
Hang on.
The most powerful.
Technology.
You guys are taking us on. I can't.
Yeah. Anyway, no, I would like to hold that video to the end. However, I will just say a little something which I'll probably add to at the end as well. The magic that is coming through this project is just phenomenal. I met Charol, who did that guided visualization, I don't know, it was maybe about 5 months ago. And I just happened to be on a Zoom call. And she, at the end of this, like it was 3 o'clock in the morning or something for me, spoke that out. And I just contacted her immediately and said, we've got to do something special with this. And that's how it came about. And so thank you, Kat. And also to the guy you intermingled in all of that really special light photography by a guy called George Laraki. And I edited that over the last few hours, and I have been waiting for it to actually render while you're talking and then upload it to YouTube and then get it out. But anyway, on with the show. This is it.
Sorry, Michael, you're not going to play the video right now, right? Just double checking.
Later.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So actually, just to highlight why we are having this panel discussion, it was Michael that put this panel together because Michael is running a program, or a new project called Beyond Being Human. And I would just like to reiterate what I said at the beginning, but in a more concise way, so that the audience knows the purpose of this. I mean, we are going to be having a series of panel discussions over the next 4 months, and then past that as well, that are going to be in support of the theme of the film and the goal of the film. So I just want to talk about the film, which is a documentary film. That was the original idea that Michael had, that was going to be called Beyond Being Human. And Beyond Being Human has gone beyond a documentary. It's become so many other things. And part of it is about creating community and bringing people together for conversations such as this one. But because it is so wide reaching, I would just like to kind of hone in on the whole point of Beyond Being Human so that the audience understands why everyone is here, because this topic of conversation is only one of many that we're visiting in conjunction with this project. So Beyond Being Human is exploring extraterrestrial influence on humanity and also paranormal influence on humanity, from UFOs to expanded consciousness, weaving our way through many expressions such as galactic visitations, shamanic culture, paranormal experiences, and how our everyday reality is shifting and changing as all of these things are occurring in apparently an increasing way. We don't know for sure if it actually is increasing or if it's because of things like the internet that we now understand globally how much is going on. But in any case, it does feel feel like there is a very significant global shift going on. So this project Beyond Being Human is trying to document how that is occurring, specifically in conjunction with the paranormal and the spiritual. So further research shows that those who report contact with extraterrestrial beings of all sorts and paranormal beings of all sorts, and this of course includes angels, the multidimensional, anything that would be defined as not being so-called ordinary. These people can testify to increased abilities such as telepathy. They can testify to having a new sense of purpose and meaning and peace and joy in our lives. A deep sense of care for the planet is a very big result as well. And so that is definitely a message from extraterrestrial beings, but it's a message also from angels, from guides, from teachers, from ascended masters, that we need to be really honoring this incredible, incredible planet that we are so incredibly fortunate to live upon, and which we do not fully appreciate and value. And so now we are at a point where this planet is in serious trouble. That is absolutely undeniable in terms of climate change and also the conflict that is happening around the world, partially as a result of the pressures of climate change and economic shifting. So we're talking about all of these things right now because we're trying to get to a deeper sense of meaning in all of this. You know, what is all of this for? Why are we here? What is all of this happening for? You know, what is the reason? And we may never find the answer, but definitely as we journey along this path, we are gaining, greater and greater insight and wisdom and knowledge through our experiences, and our willingness to have those experiences and to come together to share them, to be transparent about them, you know, to be on camera showing our faces and our names and talking about these so-called unusual things, because it is putting a message out, a vibration out to the rest of the world that we need to be having these conversations. We need to be admitting that we are having unusual experiences, and that it is all part of who we authentically really are in this time, in this place, in these bodies, and on this planet. So I am very, very grateful to have been the host for this event. Thank you so much to Sarah Garcia, to Mariana Leah, to Glenda Dawson, to Mary Nunez, to Andrea Perron, who has sadly had to leave us, but she is still here in spirit, and also very much to Michael for creating all of this for us, you know, giving us the opportunity to come here. Also very, very, very grateful to New Realities and to Portal to Ascension for supporting this project, for allowing this conversation to be live streamed. And I would like to give Neil from Portal to Ascension the opportunity right now to come in. Neil, if you're there, because there was something you wanted to speak to. There's an event that sounds really wonderful that is coming up through Portal to Ascension that Neil is here to speak about. So Neil, are you there? Knock, 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 ring, ring. He might be away from his computer. I see a beautiful, beautiful image on his screen, but no actual Neil. Is he coming? Yes or no? Okay, so we'll wait a second there. He might be away from his computer for a minute, but he's going to come back and speak to that event. Michael, do you want to say anything at this moment about the project of Beyond Being Human, or even the Wish Alliance, another organization that we're working with?
Actually, I would let you talk about the Wish Alliance right at the end. You've got that written there. But also
we are pretty much right at the end. We've got 7 minutes left, so we are pretty much right at the end. Yeah.
Yeah. Also to let you know, I've invited Michael Carter to come in too, and I'll play the video, which is only a minute now, and we'll see how we go this time. One sec.
Okay, just a quick reminder. Wonderful way to close out the year. The Beyond Being Human panel discussion this year is on December 16th, and it's going out to everyone. It's going out on Portal to Ascension and New Realities, the Wish Alliance, as well as our Facebook group. And it's all going to be about consciousness and consciousness studies and how we can change that and make a ripple effect in the world. That's what we're about, right? We're about raising the vibration, raising the frequency. And how do we do it? By changing our consciousness. So we're also going to have to raise some money for some brothers and sisters in need, to the least of these. This is what this season is all about, right? It's about to serve, to give. And we know that's what you want to do because you're changing your consciousness. So hope to see you then, December 16th. Stay well.
And I don't know whether Michael's there, but if not,
Should this tactical zoom lens be made
I
of?
gotta stop that. Stop that.
This is Brenda, a
Oh.
46-year.
You sound like me. I'm horrible at technology. I don't even know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I was scared I was gonna not be able to get in this Zoom meeting earlier.
I think Michael's computer has a mind of its own, essentially. The technology is alive. But yes, so I think what I'll do is I'm going to call Neil one more time, see if he's there. I wrote to him in chat. Neil, are you there? 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay, Neil's not there yet. So I'm just going to quickly speak to the Wish Alliance, which is another organization that we're partnering with in terms of the Beyond Being Human project. The Wish Alliance is a consortium of multidimensional awake and aware galactic beings, which includes walk-ins. I'm actually kind of wondering, Sarah, if you might have had a walk-in experience. It sounded a little bit like that, just dropping that seed in.
Well, I've always felt something like that, to be honest, because like I said, it was really, and I've said it was like death and rebirth at 11. I don't know, but I will tell you I had a death experience when I was 14, and I kind of wanted to talk about that when we first were talking about it, but maybe you ladies can help me on this one because I'm still kind of a little bit iffy on this.
Would you mind saving it for the next time we talk to you? Yeah, that would be something to look forward to. That would be really great, just because we're so close to the end of our time right now. And I want to make sure that we give justice and proper attention to your story, because it sounds kind of intriguing. So hold on to it. Make a note that don't forget that you're going to tell that story the next time we speak to you. Because we're going to be
that, and I can articulate that.
Definitely. Sure. So just to go back quickly to the Wish Alliance, it is a consortium of multidimensional awake and aware galactic beings, which includes walk-ins, indigo children, star seeds, hybrids, plus dimensional and angelic beings. They have all come together with the intention to birth a new utopian paradigm of collaborative networking among like kind. The Wish Alliance promotes multidimensional conscious evolution and provides a safe community in which to grow and share, whether in person or virtual, and they help to educate and promote what is going on in the world so that people can better understand it, feel at peace with it, gain some community, some support, some knowledge, and some support as there's some foundation towards anchoring their higher frequency as we continue along our path, because that is a big part of what we're doing right now. And as Andrea was pointing out, even just by coming together like this in this space and having this conversation, we are sending out a certain vibration into the world, right? By bringing our collective energy together, and our collective vibration together makes it even stronger. So the collective and community is incredibly important. And that is going to be a big part of the Beyond Being Human project. We're going to be bringing people together for a series of panels over the next 4 months and beyond that, as we build the documentary. And the documentary is going to contain many incredible stories from people such as yourselves. So again, we're very, very grateful to have you here. So I don't think Neil is around at the moment. Michael, you were going to say one last comment. I have nothing left here, and I think that our panelists have done an absolutely outstanding job. So if Neil is not around, I feel like we can close, Michael, unless there's something you'd like to say.
Yes, we probably can just continue till Neil comes in, because he's actually got to close the room. But let me just invite Michael Carter, an unexpected guest. And 1 second.
It has been 2 hours, so I'm not sure if our panelists are able to stay longer. If anyone is not able to stay longer, please feel free to say that you need to go. You do not by any means have to stay longer than the 2-hour commitment. So just wanted to put that out there.
Okay.
And I think that if we are going to continue, unless Neil is there, Neil, are you there? Or trying one more time?
No, he's not. No.
Okay, then you know what? I'm going to turn it over to Sarah, and she can tell her story. Sarah, I take it back. You don't have to say that. You can do it right now. So please, by all means, go ahead with what you were going to share.
Talking about near-death experiences, and I had one when I was 14. I did pass away, was brought back, but I had a different experience. All I saw was white, but it looked like I was boxed in. Honestly, I couldn't, if I looked down, it was just white. Left, right, it was just white. I didn't see anything. But then on one side, I saw shadow beings. Then on the other side, I saw, I guess, people, but there were spirits or whatever. And they were picking, there was a table and there was like eggs wrapped up. Some of them were gold, some of them were just normal looking eggs. And they were getting eggs. Some people couldn't get some could. And after a while, they brought me back. So that's my experience. I could see the back of myself. I couldn't see the front of myself, but I could see that. And like I said, all I saw was white, top, bottom. It never ended. So I don't know if you guys want to throw something out there, what you're feeling about that.
Can I add to that, Sarah? What I felt when you were speaking about your story. I feel like it was almost like a walk-in experience. And that's what I feel. I feel like there was a trade made, like almost. And I feel like almost because your life is changing so rapidly at the age of 12, you were still trying to process so many different things. And there was many moments where you did feel like almost giving up. And it was so much going through you because you were still a child and you were still trying to figure out how to consciously figure your life out. So I almost feel like there was like, that's the message I'm getting. It was like a trade-off, like almost like a walk-in trade-off to help. So a lot of these walk-ins do come in to help you complete your mission at the time where you are in a space of an in-between, kind of almost like in between worlds, in between decisions, because you don't know how to make light of things at this moment because there's so many things happening to you at the moment that you can't process everything so quickly. So I feel like it was a trade-off for your soul contract, and a walk-in did come in to help you process and heal and be able to stay strong throughout your journey. And I believe that stayed with you till about the age of 26. And so now you mentioned that you're about 36 years old. I believe that was before.
Yeah.
Even though you look like you're about 16, but that's
I love you, first off.
A woman never tells her age. We know this.
But I don't mind. I have a 15 and a 13-year-old, okay? So sometimes I think that 15-year-old is my boyfriend.
I also just don't buy into the not saying your age thing. I'm 44 and a half, and I will say that to anybody who asks.
Gorgeous. You know,
I'm 60. I'm 60.
I'm 38.
Seven.
I'm 38. That's okay.
Beautiful.
That's okay.
I'm proud of being old, okay? I don't care. I've earned these gray hairs somewhere in there.
Where?
Somewhere in there.
And listen,
Somewhere in there.
ladies, we were just talking about how our bodies are not us. So we really do not need to get hung up on this. This is just the container that we're using to walk through this lifetime.
Right.
That's all. And
Exactly.
Glenda, say something.
So, Sarah, the reason you changed at the age of 12 is because your walk-in soul joined with you. And when you had that near-death experience is when the full exchange happened.
Yep.
Between 12 and 14 is when you said that you had that near-death experience. Those were the years that they were learning.
Yeah, there were fundamental blocks. And
They were learning how you were, what happened to your life up to there. So when the transition occurred, you did not go, oh my God, I am here and I don't know what happened to me up to now. So you could recognize your parents or your schoolmates or your friends or your siblings or, you know, whoever else is in your life. And you could recognize your life to some degree. Doesn't mean you learned everything and your new soul or the walk-in was able to capture everything at that moment. But yeah, that's why the 2 years of that switch, as you say. And, you know, being an ambassador in Wish Alliance, just like Mariana is, we could tell you very good stories on that. So, girl, you never talk to me like that. I will talk to you later.
We will definitely chat, Miss Glenda. I love her, by the way. She's amazing. Nothing but good things to say about her.
Yeah, stop. She's just trying to butter me for that ice cream or something. I know it.
Yes, when I go visit, we're gonna go get the money.
Yeah. So,
if I may, really, really quickly, the symbology of the egg is something to really contend here with.
That's what getting. Yeah.
Yeah, in our society where we come from, the egg is a cleansing. It is it's a vessel to pull anything that no longer is part of you. Exactly, it's no longer good for you. Okay, so here's the egg. Some people were taking and some people were not.
Mm-hmm.
That symbology there is telling you this is not for everyone. Not everyone goes through a walk-in, but you did. And the egg was the symbology of telling you, okay, everything is getting cleansed. Everything is, you're going to start from scratch. You're going to start from scratch. So that's a good thing, I believe. Absolutely.
Agreed.
Yes, that makes sense with the egg, because like you said, in our culture, we use that to cleanse ourselves. And so yeah, that's very much true. Thank you, ladies.
I'm just noticing that Michael J. Carter has not Michael J. Fox, but Michael J. Carter, better than Michael J. Fox. He's just popped in. It's just popped in. Michael, we can't see you. I'm not sure if you're able to turn on your video or if you're just audio. And if you're just audio, that's okay. But thanks so much for popping in, Michael. Michael is the man who did the lovely video that was played by other Michael, our co-host Michael, a little bit earlier on. And we had a really wonderful conversation about Christ consciousness the other day. We're going to be doing a panel on Christ consciousness in December, on December 16th. And Michael is going to be leading that panel, Michael J. Carter, I mean. So perhaps you can speak to that and welcome Michael J. Carter. Thanks so much for being with us.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not the most tech savvy person, so I wish I could let you see me. But anyway, hold on. Join as,
Oh.
Sorry, Michael, can you hear us? Okay.
Okay, hold on.
Please go ahead.
Hey, there we are.
We can see you. Yes.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Hello.
What happened? We just lost each other.
No, you're there.
Okay, you can see me?
Yeah, we can see you.
Okay, I can't see you, but this is good. So anyway, no, Michael just invited me. I'm here. It's good to meet you ladies. And yeah, I getting ready, for what we're going to talk about on the 16th. I don't know what else to say. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. And I'm glad to be a part of it. And I guess we're going to talk about many, many, many things. Michael wanted me to talk about maybe my hypothesis, if you will, on Jesus being a hybrid. We're talking about, it's around Christmas time, and we can explore and unpack some of that.
Mm-hmm.
And we're also going to be, as I'm sure you know, we're going to try to raise some money to help brothers and sisters who are indigent and homeless, and kind of put all this into some concrete action, which is always a good thing. So that's what I'm looking forward to doing. I'm sorry, I just came in. Michael texted me about 10 minutes ago and said, well, you should come on. So it's about 10 after 9 here where I am. And I was, I go to bed early, but this was well worth the wait.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for being here with us.
It's my pleasure.
You.
I wish I was more tech savvy. I mean,
Thank you, Michael.
we were just here. Yeah.
We were talking about that earlier. Welcome to the club.
Wow. Yeah, I'm showing my age. Yeah, I just,
on the Zoom in the beginning. Do you guys
kinda
remember?
crazy. And Zoom is pretty easy to use.
Not to me.
Hold on. Will you be leaving this meeting to join a new meeting? No. It's weird. Why am I not coming in? I'm afraid I don't want to push leave webinar. Hold on. Michael, okay, hey!
Hey.
Wow. There we go. After 3 days. Very good.
Well,
Today it's good to see.
I would like to just kind of wrap up with a big thank you to you all from Beyond Being Human. This is our first public event. And here's Neil to quickly tell us about his amazing work. He is relentlessly doing fantastic stuff. Over to you, Neil.
Thank you, brother. So hello, everybody. My name's
Hey,
Neil.
brother.
Hey, Michael. Nice to see you, brother. And I'm just going to quickly do a couple minutes here and show you an event that's starting tomorrow. So since we're live on our YouTube, multiple social media pages, we're actually going to be live on those same exact platforms tomorrow as well. You can sign up to actually attend the Zoom room, but tomorrow starts our 5th annual Portal to Ascension conference. The first 2 years were in person. Last 3 have been online. 44 speakers, 4 panels, 8 MCs, 4 days, 11 to 12 hours a day, starting tomorrow at 10 a.m. So not even like just over 12 hours from now. And if you're on YouTube, go ahead and click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and then you'll get a notice, when we go live. But if you want to sign up for the actual Zoom room, I'm going to share with you just really quick here. Here's the conference page. I'm going to show you kind of the intention and the speakers that are involved in this. The intention for this event, I'd like to say that all the events that we do are very intentional. However, this one has really come from a need to come together in unity consciousness and really transcend the division matrix that we see, divide and conquer is a real tactic that has existed for thousands of years. And just to come together and share our similarities and share awareness and positivity and empowerment that can help us come together as a human family. So that's what this event is all about. And just some of the speakers here, I'm just going to briefly go through them. I started with 44 presenters. I kept it at that number, even though we're like well over now, just because I love the 4s. But here are a few people. We have Phil Gruber, Barbara Lamb is going to be talking about regressing people to the extraterrestrial lives. Dan Winter is going to talk about the physics of ascension. Kathleen Martin is going to talk about some UFO case studies in regards to consciousness. We have JJ Desiree Hurtak, William Henry will be there. Foster Gamble is joining us. Mary Rodwell, she's going to be presenting some new information. Grant Cameron is going to do a new presentation called What I Learned in 30 or 40 years of UFO school. That's the name of his presentation. So it's going to be kind of like what he's learned, but kind of his life story on how he got to this point and, where he started at and where he's at now. And spoiler alert, he's now at the consciousness level of it all. Started with the nuts and bolts. Then we have Starseed Awareness with Flo Karuna, Galactic Technology with person that's probably interacted with more ETs and civilizations than most people that I know, Adam Apollo. Michael Tellinger, who hasn't presented for 2 years. He presented once in the last 2 years, and that was on our platform as well. And he's going to be presenting new information on the stone circles in South Africa and the discoveries on what's going on over there. Paul Wallace, we're going to be talking about the biblical connection in the Bible. He has a book called Scars of Eden. We have Conscious Hip Hop that's going to be there. I'm going to do spoken word. We have Native American flute player, Laura Eisenhower, Secret Space Program, Jonathan Goldman doing the Humming Effect Experience, Paul Hynek, who is the son of J. Allen Hynek from Project Blue Book, who is now continuing his legacy with this information. And then your amazing, beautiful hosts would be the 8 of us right here, some really good friends of mine. And then lastly, 4 panels. So at the end of every day, at 4:50 every day, the videos are already scheduled. So if you go to the YouTube page right now and you go to the actual channel page, you'll see the video link for every single one of these. Friday, we have the Ascension panel. On Saturday, we have the Ancient History panel. Then we have the Experiencer panel, which has some amazing people. Barbara Lamb, Celestine Starr, Joan of Angels, Mary Rodwell, Grant Cameron will be on there. And then lastly, on Monday, the Extraterrestrial Awareness panel. And just one epic event full of a lot of fun and excitement. And if you've been on any of our events before, which I'm sure a lot of you, especially on YouTube, have, they're very entertaining and exciting. We keep the flow going. We have multiple MCs, a lot of music as well, and amazing art. So hope to see as many of you there as possible. It's free or by donation, So there's really no reason not to sign up. You can watch the replay, watch it back whenever you want, and share it with your family and friends. So again, one more time, click on the YouTube subscribe, or you can go ahead and sign up at this link here, and I'll go ahead and put that in the chat room for the YouTube. Now, the last comment here is I'm excited to be working with Beyond Being Human, with Michael and the team, because this is just the beginning of a series of panels, as I'm sure they've already disclosed to you, that we're going to be doing over the next few months, hopefully continuously forever, that is just going to curate more conversations and discussions around these topics that are basically going from the abnormal to the normal. This is our new reality. The new normal is the understanding that the abnormal was the real reality in the first place. So we're heading back to that reality there. So I'm extremely excited just to be connecting with you guys. So look forward to seeing this team on Portal to Ascension platforms many times. So thank you so much, Sinead, and thank you, Michael, for letting me share.
Thank you, Neil. That was really, really succinctly and beautifully done. Thank you so much. And it does look like an outstanding event. There's so much exciting stuff coming on in our community. We've really found creative ways of remaining connected and still building community and building new topics of discussion and sharing stories, even despite the limitations right now with travel and so on. So it's wonderful that we still continue to come together. So just because we have gone over by about 16 minutes, I just want to honor the time. And again, thank you. Really can't say thank you enough. We should just say thank you all the time, every day, as far as I'm concerned. But seriously, thank you everybody for being here. It has really been a pleasure. Could have talked for another couple of hours probably. So Mariana and Mary, Sarah, Glenda, Michael for popping in at the last minute spontaneously. Thank you so much. Always lovely to see you. And Michael Ney, of course, for being the originator, the creative force, the channel, he says, behind this project Beyond Being Human. And Neil, thank you so much for being here. And Portal to Ascension, New Realities, we are so grateful for your support and the Wish Alliance as well. So without further ado, much gratitude, much appreciation, good vibes to everybody, and looking forward to seeing you all again and sharing further and continuing on this path together as supportive community members. Very, very important to say that we are all in this together, right? Regardless of our individual perspectives, this is a shared journey and we need to come from a place of love and support with that. So that has definitely been the vibe tonight. Thank you, everyone, and good night.
Thank you so much.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.